These are the Barabar caves located in the Makdampur region of Bihar. One of the oldest surviving rock-cut caves in India, the Barabar caves were commissioned by the Mauryan Emperor Ashoka for use by ascetics of the Ajivika order. Right next to the Barabar caves are the Nagarjuni caves, also commissioned by another Mauryan emperor, but this emperor was named Dasharatha, and most of us have probably never heard of him. Compared to the first three Mauryan emperors, Chandragupta Maurya, Bindusara and Ashoka, we know very little of the Mauryan rulers who came after Ashoka. The Mauryan Empire was also the largest empire in ancient Indian history. At its peak, the empire stretched from modern-day Afghanistan to Bangladesh to Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. According to historians, this mighty empire came to an end at around 187 BCE, 137 years after its founding by Chandragupta Maurya. But how did this happen, and who were the emperors that ruled after Ashoka? Let's try to answer these questions. First, let's take a look at Ashoka's successors. Ashoka ascended to the Mauryan throne in 270 BCE after 4 years of civil war following the Emperor Bindusara's death. He passed away in the year 232 BCE, having ruled for more than 37 years. Different sources give us different lists of Mauryan rulers after Ashoka. Here's a list of the Mauryan emperors who succeeded Ashoka based on different Puranic sources. But if we look at Buddhist sources, this is the list of the Mauryan rulers who succeeded Ashoka. Let's take a brief look at two of the Mauryan rulers after Ashoka, Dasharatha and Samprati. After Ashoka's death, his grandson Dasharatha Maurya came to the throne. During his short reign, Dasharatha upheld some of Ashoka's policies, particularly his support for Shramana traditions such as the Buddhists and Ajivikas. Dasharatha's successor was Samprati Maurya, who, according to some historical sources, was Ashoka's son or grandson. Like Ashoka, Samprati is credited with spreading Buddhism, but it is believed that his reign was also marked by the erosion of central authority. Historians Vincent Arthur Smith and Romila Thapar have theorized that the Mauryan Empire was divided into eastern and western parts between Dasharatha and Samprati, ending the political unity of the empire. But there is no clear evidence to say if this did happen. The period after Samprati saw a rapid turnover of Mauryan rulers, and we know very little about them. Historians posit that the empire then came to an end at around 187 BCE when the commander Pushyamitra Shunga staged a coup against the Mauryan emperor Brihadratha. But what made this military coup possible? Was there no opposition to Shunga as emperor? How come the Mauryan empire had weakened to this extent? Historians have come up with many theories to explain the decline and fall of this once mighty empire. Let's take a look at these one by one. The historian Haraprasad Shastri, in his Causes of the Dismemberment of the Maurya Empire, argued that Ashoka's patronage of Buddhism had earned him many enemies. Propagated by some historians even today, this theory proposes that the military coup staged by Pushyamitra Shunga was a Brahminical revolution against the anti-Brahminical policies of Ashoka and his successors. This theory relies on the Ashokan edicts banning animal sacrifice, which historians say was aimed against Brahmins. But if we examine the same Ashokan edicts closer, we see that this is not true. The edicts of Ashoka show no antagonism between the Mauryan emperor and Brahmins. In fact, Ashokan edicts say that one should be respectful and courteous to Shramanas, that is Buddhists, Jains and other ascetics, as well as Brahmanas. Ashokan edicts show no evidence of any hostility between the emperor and the Brahmins. Also, the Shunga kings who ruled after the Mauryas patronized Buddhism and renovated the stupas at Bharhut and Sanchi, which is something they would not have done if the Shunga coup was indeed a Brahminical reaction against Buddhism. The second theory is that Ashoka's pacifist attitude and his supposed rejection of violence was responsible for the empire's decline. Historians again rely on Ashokan edicts and his conversion to Buddhism as the basis for this theory. But Ashoka in his edicts never mentions that he has abandoned war. In fact, according to the book Ashoka, The Search for India's Lost Emperor by writer and historian Charles Allen, Ashoka had become a Buddhist 4 years before the Kalinga War was fought. Allen writes that Ashoka had become a Buddhist in 265 BCE and then conquered the region of Kalinga in a bloody war 4 years later in 261 BCE. So Ashoka had not abandoned violence after adopting Buddhism. The war that Ashoka is most famous for, that is the Kalinga War, was fought after he had already converted to Buddhism. And what's more, in his edict at Shahbazgadi in northwestern Pakistan, Ashoka makes a clear threat of violence against groups like the forest tribes who are told that they would be dealt with if they don't listen to him. All of this shows that Ashoka was a pragmatic ruler and that he did not reject violence or the threat of violence. Another theory of Mauryan decline states that the vast empire could not be held together in the absence of a strong and charismatic central figure like Chandragupta Maurya or Ashoka. In such a scenario, maintaining imperial control over the provinces and regional governors became increasingly difficult, leading to political fragmentation. Other theories suggest that the Mauryan economy was in distress after Ashoka. Historian K.A. Nilakanta Shastri highlights the fact that Ashoka's heavy investment in public works and Buddhist monuments may have drained the imperial treasury. This economic weakening left the empire without the resources needed to maintain its vast bureaucratic and military apparatus. Without adequate funds, the empire could not pay its officials or its soldiers, leading to widespread dissatisfaction and rebellion. As a result, the empire found it difficult to defend its borders, particularly against invasions from the northwest. The Indo-Greeks and the Greco-Bactrians, for example, began encroaching on the empire's territories. These invasions not only reduced the territorial extent of the empire, but also further weakened the morale of an already unstable state. The threat of a Greek invasion into the Mauryan Empire seems real, especially given the fact that the Shungas did come into conflict with them within a few years after overthrowing the Mauryan dynasty. While it is impossible to point to a single factor that was responsible for the Mauryan Empire's collapse, it can be argued that the decline was a gradual process marked by internal weaknesses, economic challenges, administrative inefficiencies, military decline, and the threat of external invasions. This is how one of the most powerful empires of ancient India came to an end.